Scroll YouTube for some time, and there's a high chance that you will stumble upon a cooking video of some sort. Be it as an instruction or just entertainment, cooking videos are evergreen form of contents that are generally appreciated by many. With plethora of ingredients and preparation style to choose from, the possibility of generating unique taste is simply endless. While rare cheeses and other exotic ingredients do grab attention of many, there's an ingredient that has become the buzzword in the kitchen. MSG, also identified as Ajinomoto, is an additive used to enhance the flavor. While monosodium glutamate might sound like a chemical that you would find in factory waste, it's actually a naturally occurring compound that can be found in tomato, cheese, mushrooms, and so on. Celebrity chefs and influencers, extolling the flavor-enhancing properties of MSG, have contributed to its favorable reputation, earning widespread acclaim among enthusiasts. However, this has not always been the prevailing sentiment. It's actually banned in Pakistan and Turkey. MSG's production and global circulation had started in the early 1900s, but the controversy surrounding its safety had only started since the late 1960s. So, what went wrong? Glutamic acid was first discovered and identified in 1866 by the German chemist Karl Heinrich Ripphausen. The result was obtained by treating wheat gluten with sulfuric acid, hence the name glutamic acid. Kikunae Ikeda, a Japanese chemist and professor of chemistry at Tokyo Imperial University, embarked on a 2-year training journey in Germany, where he immersed himself in the study of organic chemistry at a renowned center. During his research ventures in 1908, Ikeda noticed that dashi, the Japanese broth of katsuobushi and kombu, had a unique taste not yet scientifically described. Upon deeper investigation, he extracted glutamic acid from kombu through aqueous crystallization, coining the term umami to describe the taste of this substance. Recognizing its uniqueness, Ikeda harbored the ambition to mass-produce and distribute the glutamic compound on a global scale. The product was distributed among peers and doctors for testing and further research. Ikeda's product garnered praise from Mioke Hide, a Japanese doctor, who noted in an article that its flavor facilitated digestion. Upon perusing the article, Ikeda remarked, "Having always regretted the poor diet of our nation, I had long contemplated how it might be remedied, but had found no good idea until I read this article. It then occurred to me that manufacturing a good, inexpensive seasoning to make bland, nutritious food tasty might be a way to accomplish my objective." Monosodium glutamate, that emerged from Ikeda's laboratory, was quickly patented in Japan, the United States, England, and France. With the product patented, a manufacturing company was required for mass production. Suzuki Pharmaceutical was an iodine manufacturing company that extracted iodine from seaweed. In 1895, the company began exporting iodine and, in an effort to utilize its byproducts, began manufacturing saltpeter, the raw material for gunpowder, for which demand rose sharply during the Sino-Japanese and Russo-Japanese wars. Ikeda brought the powdered substance to Suzuki Soburo, whose Suzuki Chemical Company began marketing it in 1909 under the brand name Ajinomoto, meaning essence of taste. Ajinomoto began building its domestic market in the final years of the Meiji era, when Japan was rapidly developing its industries to join the club of the Western powers. Despite the acclaim and manufacturing endeavors, Suzuki Chemical Company initially struggled to attract customers, resulting in no profits during the first 4 years. As MSG was a flavor-enhancing compound, the best initial form of advertisement would be to distribute it among restaurants, food manufacturers, and public displays. To make a name for itself, they installed a display window and electric lights, which were rare at the time. However, the new seasoning was expensive. While a cup of soba noodles and broth at the time sold for 3 sen, a small 14-gram bottle of the product sold for 40 sen. As a result, sales were dismal and their product was rejected by soy sauce brewers and restaurateurs. Facing challenges in marketing, they shifted their focus to housewives. In Japanese households, it was predominantly the responsibility of the housewives to manage the kitchen and provide meals for the family. Typically, recipes were passed down from generation to generation, with mothers teaching their daughters or learning from the cooks they employed to handle all the cooking duties. While the existing recipes were satisfactory, new flavors were always welcomed. Housewives turned to recipe books and newspaper columns, brimming with innovative hybrids like teriyaki and tonkatsu. This presented a golden opportunity for MSG, yet price remained the primary concern. Women, for whom frugality had been ingrained as the highest virtue, needed to be convinced that this unfamiliar powder was indeed a necessary addition to their kitchens. The company logo featured a woman adorned in a white apron and a Western-influenced sokuhatsu hairstyle, both symbols associated with the modern middle-class housewife. To enhance its aesthetic appeal, the product was packaged in slender glass bottles reminiscent of perfume containers. Marketers capitalized on the Japanese housewife's burgeoning self-perception as a culinary professional, framing her kitchen as a laboratory for experimentation. Being associated with flavorful household meals gave MSG a perceived sense of healthiness, even though no real health benefits could be substantiated. Ajinomoto directed its most direct appeals to students and graduates of the nation's higher schools for women, where daughters of the elite were trained to manage bourgeois households. Ajinomoto advertisements highlighted the product's pure white appearance, emphasizing its hygienic quality, which resonated with the strong emphasis in contemporary women's education on bleaching and disinfecting. The First World War that started from 1914 boosted industrial development, leading to more urbanization and the use of electricity. This economic surge also paved the way for a society where mass consumption became prevalent. Between 1922 and 1937, the company sent a sample bottle and cookbook to every graduating student from the higher schools for women. With success in Japan, Ajinomoto began to spread to various regions, including China, Taiwan, and extending all the way to the West. In the 1930s, Chinese chefs and restaurants in the United States were writing recipes and cooking dishes using what they referred to as gourmet powder, which played a major role in popularizing MSG. From the mid-1930s until 1941, the United States surpassed all other countries outside of Japan and Taiwan in Ajinomoto purchases. American manufacturers of foods, notably the Campbell's Soup Company, were pivotal in driving this demand. This was what can only be described as the silence before the storm, as something sinister was brewing up from deep within. Consumer trust in the food industry notably eroded during the 1960s. Health and product safety movements drew public attention to the potential risks associated with chemicals in the food system. The public outcry concerning pesticides, catalyzed by the publication of Rachel Carson's Silent Spring in 1962, intensified as the decade drew to a close. This coincided with heightened concerns and warnings regarding food additives. Scientists issued warnings that the artificial sweetener saccharin might have potential carcinogenic effects. Subsequently, in October of the following year, the Food and Drug Administration prohibited cyclamate, another artificial sweetener, leading to the recall of millions of dollars worth of soft drinks. New England Journal of Medicine published a letter from Chinese-American Dr. Robert Ho-Man Kwok, which said that he experienced a strange syndrome whenever he ate in a Chinese restaurant, especially one that served northern Chinese food. Kwok's symptoms included numbness and palpitations, gradually radiating to both arms and back. The journal titled the letter Chinese Restaurant Syndrome, and this term gained traction as other physicians adopted it in the flurry of letters and reports that swiftly ensued. Just days after the FDA announced its ban of cyclamate, Gene Meyer, chair of the White House Conference on Food, Nutrition and Health, recommended MSG be banned in baby foods. Meyer based his recommendation on a report earlier in the year by Dr. John Olney, stating injections of monosodium glutamate had caused brain damage in mice. While this may raise concerns, a frequently overlooked detail in reporting this study is that Olney utilized substantial quantities of MSG in his research, administering up to 4 grams per kilogram of body weight all at once. This amount is significantly higher than what humans are likely to consume as part of a balanced diet. Olney's mice experiment gained rapid traction on a global scale. After the White House Conference's recommendation, the product's image was permanently damaged in both the United States and Japan. The repercussions extended beyond the borders of the US and Japan, escalating on a global scale. As information disseminated, new symptoms were incrementally added, including purported impacts on bone health and assertions of the body's inability to digest MSG. The outcome was a widespread uproar that reverberated through every industry employing MSG. As rumors spread quickly, fueled by somewhat substantiated research findings, the general public became deeply skeptical of Chinese cuisine as a whole and harbored a fear of MSG. This continued for few decades until a 1995 report from the Federation of American Societies for Experimental Biology for the United States Food and Drug Administration concluded that MSG is safe when consumed at customary levels. Despite being proven innocent, the exoneration did not propagate as rapidly as the previous concerns regarding MSG's health effects. It was the misfortune of Chinese cooks to be caught with the white powder by their stoves, when the once praised flavor enhancer suddenly became a chemical additive. With the debunking of the myth surrounding MSG's harm, consumers gradually resumed its usage. Researchers, doctors, and activists have linked the controversy surrounding MSG to xenophobia and racism against Chinese culture. They argue that East Asian cuisine is unfairly targeted, while the widespread use of MSG in other ultra-processed foods remains unstigmatized. After the safety clearance, MSG was heavily used in food industry, leading to its massive growth in market size. Soon, MSG became synonymous with tasty meals, and people willingly began incorporating it into their home cooking. While some advocate MSG as the ideal substitute for salt, others allege it to spike insulin levels. The best practice is to consume it in moderation, recognizing that even water can become deadly when ingested in excessive quantities. If we look at the global MSG consumption data in 2022, market size was valued at $5,579.38 million. As MSG is used in food products with different names like modified food starch, hydrolyzed yeast, hydrolyzed soy, and so on, look hard enough, and you will probably find MSG in most of the processed food products. This is how MSG dominates the global kitchen and food industry, making it extremely difficult to completely avoid it.